Well, hello, my faithful viewers. It's me, Sahara, with FYI Sahara YouTube. And come November 3rd, who knows where we will be. That's why we look up. When I was a little girl, my grandfather used to take me out on the beautiful Chesapeake Bay, and he taught me navigation. And he said, Sahara, if you ever want to find your way home, just look up and follow the North Star. I said, really? Okay. Just look up. Gotcha, gotcha. I called him Daddy. He was my mentor in life. So here I am. I'm still looking up, and I'm still trying to find my way home. And if you are a subscriber, you might have watched the last YouTube on Trump, and I think I have finally figured out what gives Trump the Teflon quality where nothing sticks. It's been an amazing experience to watch him go through a landmine of hookers, um, pals with Russia, paying off people. The threatening of Stormy Daniels was kind of amazing because Stormy said a hoodlum came up to her and threatened her baby, her little baby girl. So and that was my first clue. Watching him later on kind of trump through the Mueller investigation. After that, he was impeached, and if you've been living in a cave, you don't know about this. But if you're a normal person looking at the news once in a while, you're like so freaked out at this. Why has this been? And if you are a subscriber and you watch the last YouTube on Trump, I realized that the secret for this Teflon president, and he always said he could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody in the back and get away with it. And he had in his secondary progressions no retrograde planets. That's very rare. And that would be wonderful to research. It looks like my silly tripod is bouncing again. Please don't let that distract you. I just have tripod problems. So, but after that, I'm good. It's all good. It's all good after looking at Bernie's chart. So Trump, with no retrograde planets, has been able to get in his secondary progressed chart, has been able to do basically whatever he wants to do. A traitor to his country, you name it. He had like millions of women protest 3 years ago all over the world. That was the pink pussy? I didn't like that very much, but that was their battle cry. So, I mean, million women all over the world, and it went on from there. The guns, protesting with the guns, everything. He's still around, and salty, I won't go into it. One thing that gave me hope was Bernie Sanders. He is a champion of the people. So, but however, he has been edged out again by the conniving DNC. And the DNC is conniving for reasons that could be considered noble to save the country. That's the way they see it. And it's true. They were motivated correctly. There's one odd thing that might go in Bernie's favor. Bernie, of course, won't have anything to do with the Russians and their shenanigans, and because they want to ruin our country, and a lot of people are buying it. They're buying anything Russian, so including Mitch McConnell's stuff, and so it just goes on and on. And Bernie Sanders has been the one person that had the needs of the people in mind. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go over this and make a new one after this because I don't like the bouncing tripod. I thought I had So if it ain't one damn thing, it's another. But it was Bernie's chart that gave me hope. Um, and the Russians, they want Bernie to win because they know our uneducated. Uh, we're so uneducated. We've been called a third world country by a lot of other countries in Northern Europe. I mean, and there are travel advisories in a lot of South American and Oriental countries that have travel advisories because we shoot people in shopping malls, sports events, and we shoot children in schools, and we lock little children up in cages. You want to come here for a vacation, really? that's that's what's happening. It's real, um, and we're basically certain portions of our electric electorate are uneducated. They just are. Even Trump said it. God bless the uneducated. He knew that. he, he's one of them. So I mean, he can't read really. Um, so we need a hero. I was upset when I saw Biden's chart. It didn't look good. I mean, Joe Biden, it looks like a, a, a dream angel compared to what we've got. I, vote for him in a nanosecond. And I'm also just in love with Bernie. Biden had some aspects that weakened him, and both health-wise and what would you call it? Defamation, character assassination. So the Russians and the Republicans are out to get him. You, as well, you may have noticed that sometimes he appears to be frail, which still makes him look good compared to Trump. But the problem is we have uneducated among us, and whatever slop the Russians and their co-conspirator Republicans are throwing out through Fox News. So that could do Biden in the two things together, which is too bad. Um, but I kept looking at Bernie's chart, in spite of the fact that he got trashed again by the DNC. His chart kept coming out good. It could be the universal health care thing, but this is cosmic. These things are planned in advance. There is such a thing as collective consciousness, and I'll paste some things below on the 100th monkey because that's what we tend to think. We tend to think in herds, or maybe like migrating animals. We think as a group. So let's look at Mr. Bernie's chart, and I'm just sorry about the tripod. Let me see if I can fix it. Hold on. So he has Scorpio rising. I don't want to go into the detail of his natal chart, which is pretty cool. Because I did that. If you're a subscriber, you saw an earlier video that I did of Bernie Sanders and how he could be the hero saving the day. Really, I saw him jumping out of a phone booth, literally. We in the transits are those little, well, they tell a lot. Let me put it like that. We have all these three planets. These are heavy hitter planets. There's another heavy hitter down here with Uranus, and these planets are trining his midheaven. Oh, I'm sorry. My vision is not on this is not as good as that you'll see. I can't always see the glyphs on the chart, but I know this pretty well. Neptune, that's a lucky save. That's a Hail Mary. That's a gift from above. And these planets are trining his natal Neptune. Then a nice thing is they are also trining his natal Saturn and making a grand trine between Saturn, Neptune, and this is what I call the trifecta. And for those that have watched my previous videos, all of this coronavirus has been predicted not just by me, but by the Mayans on their calendar. And Yogananda, a great guru, said, "It's coming. Fasten your seatbelt." So the one thing that excites me, talk about sudden good news, is Uranus at 8 degrees of Taurus is trine his midheaven in Virgo. Um, so this is 8 degrees of Virgo. So we have a trine here. So this is all good. This is just his trances. So I'm seeing other things, but let me move on, because when you're doing a chart, you're kind of hunting around in the weeds for your way home, and you don't see the forest. So I'll leave out some of the details. Besides, I did a lot of the details in a previous chart, but I didn't look that much for a presidential win, because, Joe Biden had been picked by the DNC, not particularly the people, but they're trying to save our country from a monster, and the Soviet Union. And Bernie's trying to save us from ourselves. He has crazy ideas such as universal health care. Really? How about education? Because we are lagging behind the whole world, and we're just big dummies, and the whole world is laughing at us. Here's something that these are the secondary progress planets. The sun is trining his Pluto, and it's actually approaching. So that's good right there, because Pluto is the ruler of his ascendant. So that's good right there. It's so funny. I have something like this in my chart, and it's making my health better. And so this was a thing that helped him through the heart stent he had to have put in. However, in future horoscopes, I did see that it would be a heart attack that would take our dear Bernie out, but not yet. He has too much fire in his chart with this feisty feisty Aries moon, and really, that's like it's a little scrapper. Here is his progressed Venus. It is squaring his natal Venus. This reflects on his partner, so chances are she'll get some unfair criticism. God knows why. She sure beats a hooker in the White House who has previously been a model for cheap porn magazines. Really? Jane is she's the professor, and runs a university in Vermont. She's so overeducated, just a beautiful person. So she could be criticized here, but that's not too bad. But this is like my feelings of her, boohoo. So let's see if we can make up for that. Because this is a woman that we can be proud of to be our FLOTUS. Now, another thing is, when we look at the transits, you're going to see that the transits in Capricorn are trining these retrograde planets on his descendant. And if let's go back and look at the transits. So you see these planets in Capricorn are all up here trining his progressions, the secondary progressions, and they're all right here. But that is the worrisome thing in his chart as well. So we have trines all over the place. He's a triney baby. So in remembering that the trines are all here in these degrees of Capricorn, setting off this little Venus hanging out here in the secondary progress with the transits kicking in. So, and all these things kick into these grand trine configurations: Saturn, trine Neptune, um, the transits, trine the Capricorn planets, and the transit of Uranus, which I pointed out earlier, trining his midheaven. This is looking good. Again, we have the progressed Sun trining Pluto, which is the ruler of his ascendant. This is so weird. This is help from abroad, so not a woman. Trump gets help from abroad. Bernie's getting help from abroad. So we're going to see. We might never know. It probably come out into the light. Could it actually be the evil empire of Russia? They think they're gonna upset the apple cart by helping elect a socialist. Maybe we have, we have some bad elements that have shown up in our society. And if y'all don't know it, I am planning on moving in a couple months to Mexico. I'm very excited about it. I can no longer live in a country that cages little children. Sorry. And I'm remembering some stories from some Jewish friends that have described to me exactly how Hitler took over and how he did what he did. And we've got all the signs. So it's just like I'm gone. Bye, y'all. So I just don't want to be here anymore because of those things. But Bernie has a chance of turning things around. Here's kind of the creme de la creme. I love solar arcs. If you have never looked at the solar arcs in your chart, please do. It's like a whole new world. The solar arc moon is in a water sign, and it is trine his descendant and sextile his midheaven. And you might remember the transits had Uranus down here at 8 of Taurus trining his Virgo midheaven. So that's pretty cool. That you just, if you ever have that in your life, which you probably do, it's a really wonderful time. It's that time when everything goes right for you. And this, I don't know what this is. This is Pluto conjunct Venus. Okay, this is usually a red-hot love affair that is perhaps ill-fated. But I, I think Bernie is so concentrated on his mission, and this is high hopes. This is the house of high hopes, and if you want to stay tuned, I will actually sing that song for you, and you'll be so sorry you listened. He had high hopes, and this really applies to this. This is magnificent, and this is the influence of his wife here. Now, it is an opposition to Mars. That's the one. This is the one thing that worries me. This could be manifest into an assassination attempt, or he has too much good stuff going on here, really. But it is a little on the scary side. And he's been this fiery character all along, but we've got Mars in opposition to Pluto. There is always a chance that if he won, the crazy Trumpsters would revolt and there would be some upset, which is exactly what Russia has planned. The other thing is, I think Bernie's days and his heart is not into running around after women or God knows what, but this is a love affair ill-fated. Really, Bernie is almost 80. So I wouldn't even go there. He's not. He's also so devoted on his path. Um, this could be the upset with Elizabeth Warren. I didn't follow the news with that. I don't know what happened. Elizabeth is fantastic, and so this might have been his little kerfuffle with Elizabeth Warren. But this would be much bigger. So I'm worried about this could be you win, but somebody shoots you, or you have that heart attack. I don't know if I pointed that out to you in the secondary progress. Hold on one moment. Let's go back in time. Secondary progress is amazing of a guy he is. These planets have these two planets in his natal chart have um, retrograded down to his descendant. This is a heart attack. I think I mentioned in my last video that I was going to move someplace once where I have a Saturn Uranus configuration in my chart, and the new move would have set that off, and I didn't go. That's what astrology's for, hopefully. I'm still looking up at the stars, Grandpa. So, all in all, let's go forward a little bit. In the solar arc, there is a big drawback besides getting shot in the foot or something, or a heart attack. You know, these things are in our charts all the time, and this is setting something off, but it's really, you can only imagine. You always see the train coming when you study astrology. You can't be faint of heart because you're always seeing stuff. It's always coming, and so is the good stuff. Um, this is Neptune in the solar arc. It is 15 degrees of Sagittarius, and his sun is 15 degrees of Sagittarius. This is weakness. This is physical weakness. It's also defamation, just like Joe Biden, where you're being trashed all over the place, and it hurts. It doesn't help anybody, except that's how the Russians control us, being the uneducated as we are. They buy, our populace we have dumbed down. That DUMBED down. We've taken a step down. We're about to enter the what is it? The Darwin Pool, Darwin Awards. As a nation, we're about to win. We're about to win the Darwin Awards. Very, very scary. Um, so that's kind of not too good. There's a few other things. If I fade out for a minute, I'm usually spotting something kind of cool. But like I said, when you're doing astrology, you can be so caught up in the details. You're crawling around in the weeds and you cannot see the forest. So let's bid our darling hero adieu. He's trying to save us from ourselves. And I wish him, my prayers are with you. Understand, these things are planned in advance by the cosmos. I have a very, very short YouTube about a psychic in Florida. She's very world famous. If you are interested to get a reading from her, she charges about $100 a reading, and it's worth it. And when my husband died, I called her. I don't know her personally, so she's not a friend. I'm not putting a plug in for her. She's just good. And of course, I was devastated. And she did make contact with my husband, and I was really sure it was my husband. There's two. If you've ever seen like John Edwards on TV, and Sharon Renee is John Edwards' go-to girl. When John Edwards gets overloaded, he sends them all off to Sharon Renee, who, as I said, not a friend of mine, not particularly. She's just good. And she brought in my husband, said it was enough there that I was crying because I knew it was my dear husband. And he basically said something like, "So how's everything down there on Earth?" And I said, "Oh, well, it's okay. This is 2011." I said, "It's okay, except for the 1%, which is just ruining our country." And Trump had not hadn't made the scene yet. He just wasn't on the of the national interest. So um, my husband said he started laughing, and Sharon Renee said that Frankie was like basically think up in heaven or in another realm laughing, and he said, "Oh, don't worry, the Republicans are going to get their comeuppance. Uh, that they're going to get exactly what they asked for," and then Sharon said, "Oh, wait, he's being pulled aside." And there was a silence. And she said, "Oh, he's back. He's been told not to talk about this." So I have it on a tape, and I also made a short clip just to explain that. And this is like, how long ago was that? Geez, 9 years ago. And I did lose my husband 10 years ago, a little more than that. So he saw it coming. It's planned in advance. We don't understand why. They say it's for our own good. Gee, really? So anyhow, Bernie Sanders has everything going for him. He's going to have mud thrown in his face. He's going to have perhaps an attempted assassination or something like, and also heart problems that will be sudden. But the good stuff, that's what astrologers do. We tend to look at all these like really scary things, and they're there. Of course they are. You can win the lottery and walk out the door and get hit by a milk truck. Really, life happens that way to us all. So he has so much good stuff going for him. I can honestly say probably he will. He has every chance of winning, and every chance of um, of course, obstacles put in his way, but the chances of him finishing his term are not good. So, of course, it doesn't take much. So everybody will be looking at his VP choice, and I hope he picks who it is soon, because I'm sure he'll pick somebody absolutely brilliant. He has that ability instead of, I'm just hoping for the best because Bernie Sanders is what we want. He's what we should have had 4 years ago, but he didn't have the aspects in. It is not always. It's kind of. It, I don't know how to explain it, but there are a larger cosmic picture, painting a large scene for us to enact. In our own lives, we have choices, but sometimes on the national stage, it will be set and predestined. So and the little astrologer looking up at the stars tries to understand all that. So I want to thank you so much for putting up with my voice. I had an accident a couple years ago that affected my voice, and I love you all so much. And I only have one thing to say. Stay tuned.